The Burbs is a 1989 American comedy film directed by Dante and stars Tom Hanks, Bruce Dern, Carrie Fisher, Rick Ducommun, and Corey Feldman. The plot follows suburban neighborhood residents that become suspicious that the new neighbors might be hiding something, and maybe something dark. So as much as I hate seeing movie theaters struggling, some cool things have come from it, like playing a lot of older movies, to try and sell more seats. At my local Regal theater, they've been kind of started with playing movies on like whatever milestone anniversary, days, which was awesome. But now it seems like every month they have this plan where they just play like an older movie every day. Whether it be a movie from the 40s or the 2000s. They usually do like themes and stuff. But I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. For film fans, seeing one of our favorite movies in the theater is cool. Especially if it's one we weren't old enough to see. In its initial run. So I've been seeing all kinds of stuff from my childhood lately, and it's been kind of a shining light for me in a fairly dark time. And I was 7 in 1989, so I didn't see The Burbs in the theater, I don't think, back then. But I know that I first watched it shortly after. So, I mean, it might have been in like 1990. We probably rented it or something, or saw it on cable. I don't know. I do know that I watched it quite a bit back in the 90s. I absolutely loved it. And I absolutely loved Tom Hanks, just overall. I would watch everything he was in back then, over and over and over again. And I hadn't seen The Burbs for probably like 30 years, as you hear me say with a lot of movies. So, as always, I was interested in seeing, how it aged, at least in my eyes. And what it was a complete blast. I don't know what to say. I'm also a huge Dante fan, so I was pretty grateful for the opportunity. Last year I was able to see Gremlins, so I'm hoping for The Howling next. That's my favorite werewolf movie, and also directed by Dante. My main takeaway, I think, this time around, though, was that I absolutely love the summer vibes of this movie. That and I really miss growing up in neighborhoods like this. First, you have Tom Hanks as the lead, of course. One of the best actors of all time. We all know this. And that's enough for me right there. But he plays Ray Peterson, just a regular dude trying to enjoy his vacation where all he wants to do is stay home and relax, drink a ton of beer, and just take a fucking break from life, I just find Ray so relatable here in every single way. I mean, Tom Hanks was known for playing like relatable characters, but for me, I was just feeling it. That was the magic of Tom Hanks, he was so good at just being the lovable, regular guy, and it felt genuine. And we all just understood his characters. He kind of represented us, the regular people. And no matter what, he always brought us up. He's dying in Joe versus the volcano, and we're just glad to be there with him. So Ray is pretty much surrounded by your typical small town neighbors. An old man that lets his dog, poop in everyone's yard. A retired military veteran played by Bruce Dern. A teenager whose parents are out of town played by Corey Feldman. And my favorite being the wacky, lovable, very Dan Aykroyd-esque performance by Rick Ducommun as Art Weingartner. My personal favorite here next to Tom Hanks. But there's also another neighbor, a new neighbor, that nobody has really seen yet in the daylight at least, leading to, you guessed it, rumors in the neighborhood. Murderers, Satanists, nobody really knows for sure, but the house looks spooky, the behavior is odd, and as strange, things kind of begin to happen around the neighborhood, it's hard to know what to believe. This movie does a really good job at keeping you guessing as to whether anything nefarious is going on or not. But honestly, I was just getting kind of sucked into the nostalgia of growing up in neighborhoods like that, drinking beers, hanging out with neighbor dogs. It's a brief glimpse of working class suburban America, and I love it. Especially the first 2 acts, because if I'm being honest, the closer they get to finding out what's inside the creepy house, the best parts are over for me. I know that probably sounds weird, but plus the ending kind of contradicts the theme here, which is the tendency that we have to make, quick assumptions and judgments about our neighbors. Even the ones that we've never ever met, the ones that are maybe a little strange to us. So I'm giving The Burbs 3 out of 4 stars. There's just so many good things I can say about it. It's hilarious. I love all of the characters, especially I love the chemistry between Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher. I love how they're just constantly bickering at each other, yet you can feel the love. At first, you're kind of like, oh man, this is like a rocky marriage, but it's not. It's not at all. I also love the satanic panic undertones, and the camera work by Robert M. Stevens is really, really cool, especially right at the beginning. You also have music by Jerry Goldsmith, of course. I thought I had to mention that since he pretty much scored, I think he scored everything for Joe Dante throughout the 80s and 90s. The Burbs is definitely one of my favorite Joe Dante movies, and it's going to be an annual nighttime summer watch for me from now on. Mark my words. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you at the multiplex.
Subscribe right now, please.